Someone who is not an establishment shill is Bobby Kennedy Jr., and I want to talk about that too to get more of an optimistic note after that very depressing segue into Barry Weiss. So RFK went on, speaking of the Capitol, speaking of January 6th earlier on, so he was on Capitol Hill earlier this week, late last week, at the time of this recording, about 2 weeks ago now, and it was awesome. If you guys have not seen the clips of Bobby Kennedy just nuking, carpet bombing the senators that were in that committee hearing, it was the Senate Finance Committee, which I thought was really bizarre because Bobby Kennedy runs our Health and Human Services Division of the government. That's okay. That's fine. And they were asking him all these questions about vaccine. He had Elizabeth Warren screaming over in the corner and Ron Wyden and all those losers that were inside there doing all those things. And so Bobby gets in there and just blows these people up, just torches them for hours. And it was awesome. It was glorious. If you haven't seen it before, if you haven't seen the clips, look them up. It's awesome. It's truly really, really awesome stuff. And so Bobby Kennedy, he went on Capitol Hill. There was a massive overhaul at the CDC. I believe he fired the CDC director. He fired a lot of people inside of the CDC who did not want to go along with this. Apparently, there was a new vaccine schedule or something that was being debated, or recommendations from the CDC on vaccines, which everyone in that room is paid for by vaccine manufacturers, by Big Pharma, and so I wanted to just blow Bobby Kennedy to bits, and he basically made them look like horrible people, which they are, for enforcing those type of things and being in bed with Big Pharma and everything else, and good for him. Bobby Kennedy is one of the braver people I have ever seen in my life, because he was doing this before any reward was handed out. Bobby's been talking about this for a long time. I actually didn't know about Bobby up until 2021, because my friend Taylor Johnson had liked Bobby Kennedy for a long time. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like RFK Sr., who was JFK's attorney general. She's like, no, he's got a kid that's named after him. And he's this kind of guy who's challenging all these health standards and is talking about, he cleaned up the Hudson River and is doing this vaccine stuff. And I'm like, oh boy, because that was when back in the day, vaccines were basically the standard for everybody. It was, beyond the pale even to question the most remote things about vaccines, all that stuff. And so Bobby's been on this kind of crusade for his entire life, because that's what makes him so brave to me, is because there was no incentive for Bobby to do this, for him to be heterodox. He had everything to lose. His family was Democrat royalty. He was, basically invited to all the clubs, did everything else. He was, related to all these very famous people, had the gateway into any political arena he wanted to. And now he has finally crested the mountain on his thing he wanted to. I'll never forget when he was at this, he was at the Trump rally with Tucker in Arizona, where he said, I've gotten on my knees every single morning and prayed for 19 years to end the chronic disease epidemic, and God answered my prayer by sending me Donald Trump. And I thought that was when I knew, I was like, okay, he's a true believer, because Bobby had to suspend his ego with his presidential campaign, lop it onto where Trump is and throw his back behind Trump. And Trump's credit, he gave Bobby what he wanted, gave him control of Health and Human Services, and good for both of them. And so now, similar to, I think the interesting thing about Trump's cabinet for the most part is that these guys are all back alley brawlers. They're all legitimate tough guys. J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, the Bobby Kennedy, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. These are all very tough guys. And so basically they put on brass knuckles and they take people to task. And this moment with RFK with the Senate Finance Committee is him giving them the beatdown that they've always deserved. And it's ringing true everywhere. People love it. That he's just, again, he's putting on the brass knuckles and he's just clocking these people. Just right hook across the face, left hook across the chin, down to the body, into the solar plexus, everything. Hitting them right where it hurts. And this is ringing home with so many people, with people that have wanted to see adjustments to this for a very, very long time. So why is this ringing home to people? Well, this is ringing home to people because the thing that Bobby is putting his finger on, the thing that he is going after, is such a apparent and visceral problem, i.e., our country being sick from every level, particularly with our kids, that no one can hide it anymore. No one can say, oh, nothing to see here. there's nothing going on here, like shut up, do whatever you need to do. Like, no. This is a major, 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 major problem. And people are discovering that it's a major problem. And they are really, they're sick of it. They're very sick of it. And so our country is so clearly just devastatingly ill from a mental health perspective, from a physical health perspective, from a chronic disease perspective, from a cancer perspective, from a cardiovascular disease perspective, from everywhere. We are not doing well, especially with our kids. And it is resonating with everyone across the aisle, whether it's, the people on the right, people on the left, which is why RFK made the endorsement of Trump such a big deal. This is why the Make America Healthy Again slogan, I was happy to purchase from the Kennedy shop. That's why it's such a big deal. That's why it's resonating with people, because everyone wants healthy kids. Everyone wants a healthy country that at least, isn't a total nihilist and isn't throwing the towel in on everything else. It's not a political issue. That's, I think, where people kind of get confused about this stuff. So it's not the Maha thing. It's not a political issue. It's a spiritual issue. It's a spiritual issue. And Bobby's alluded to this before. Nicole Shanahan, who ran for his vice president, has alluded to this before, which explains why our sick culture is the thing in the first place. A sick culture is a spiritual issue. It's not just we need to get red 40 out of the food. Yes, we need to get red 40 out of the food. We need to get petroleum out of the food. Like, yes, for God's sake, like get petroleum out of our food. Like, please. But it's not the physical poison. It's the spiritual poison. The reason why a country willingly makes itself sick and why no one is stepping in to do anything about it is because we are spiritually ill from that perspective. And so I think the bigger point of this and why this is resonating with so many people is that this, the Maha thing and what Bobby Kennedy's talking about, it shows how sick our leaders are as well. And so the biggest moment of the hearing, for those who haven't watched it, I think he was talking to Ron Wyden, who's a senator from, I think, maybe New Hampshire or something. So he was talking with, Ron Wyden was talking, I don't know nothing about Ron Wyden except that I don't like him. From everything that I've heard about him, I don't like the guy. And so Ron Wyden asked Bobby a stupid question about you want to starve people of vaccines or something. And that's never what Bobby has said ever. I've listened to almost every single interview he's done. He's never said that he wants to take vaccines away from people. So he says and throws this grenade at Bobby, and Bobby just gets a baseball bat out and hits it back at him and blows him up right in front of everyone, which was great. And so what he said, the biggest moment of this was when he hits that thing, the grenade back at Ron Wyden, that the cultural sickness, the chronic disease epidemic, the explosion in autism rates, the explosion in childhood obesity, the explosion in everything that's gone wrong, happened on their watch, which it did. Elizabeth Warren was in office when this happened. Bernie Sanders, who was at that hearing, was in office when this happened. Ron Wyden was in office when this happened. They were in power when our country got sick. They allowed this to happen. They knew this was going to happen, and they wanted it to happen. Why? Because they're all in bed with the pharma companies. They're all in bed with the financial firms. They're all in bed with these corporate interests that bribe them to turn a blind eye to our country going off a cliff from a health perspective. And that's absolutely correct. And the fact that our leaders willingly steered this country into a place where we're so unhealthy that we can barely function, that 75% of our youth cannot serve in the military because they're not physically fit enough, that one in something crazy I think 15 boys in California has autism, that we pushed a vaccine mandate primarily on working and middle class people on the threat of force. And if they didn't do it, they were a bad person. They were unclean. They were unvaccinated. They were, a part of the problem. That's sick. That's absolutely sick. They allowed that to happen. Why? Because it kept them in their position of power and it rolled their profits. Their wallets got a lot fatter because of that issue, because of the Maha issue. So the broader point of the Bobby Kennedy hearing, of the Senate hearing, what I want people to take away from this, and what I think he wanted, and what I am challenging people to take away from this, is that I think what this says is that we're finally getting to a point where we've had enough. We're just done with the ops. We're done with the psyops. We're done by people saying, hey, every other kid on the playground is really obese, but we should not pay attention to that. Hey, I have 3 autistic children. It's okay. Nothing to see here. Hey, I go to McDonald's every single day and don't work out ever. It's fine. I can take a pill for that. No. Not anymore. We are tired of the obvious things being ignored for so long, like the clear decline of the health of our nation, and the corruption of the health system by the massive hospital chains and the pharma companies and everything like that really have commoditized and capitalized our healthcare system. So this is giving us, I believe, a playbook with how to treat these people, these institutional people that run psyops on people, like, hey, our country's doing fine from a health perspective. No, it's not. And Bobby Kennedy carpet bombing and nuking these people on Capitol Hill shows exactly what we need to do. No quarter, no mercy. Expose it all. Kick them in the teeth. That is exactly how we should treat people when they lie to us on a systemic level. Because when they do so, they hurt people. They've hurt me, they've hurt you, they've hurt everybody. No quarter, no mercy. Expose it all.